step right up, where luxury meets lunacy, and the wedding world is our three-ring circus. We're your ringmasters, Marilyn Exposito and Manolo Dureste, wedding pros with 50 years of combined experience and a flair for the dramatic. From show-stopping venues and wild vendor tales to jaw-dropping I-dos, this is your all-access pass to Happily Ever After. Welcome to Ringleader Show.
The wedding industry is a blend of art, business, and emotions. And that combination can create ethical tension. Couples see picture-perfect weddings on Instagram and in magazines. But behind the scenes, not everything is as organic as it seems. Today, Marilyn and I are breaking down the culture, the PR machine, and controversial practices that shape the industry we live in today.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the Ringleader Show.
Long time no see.
I feel so weird right now. I'm used to
Why?
being like in a threesome.
Or four.
Or foursome. It's
Well,
just you and me now. This is very boring sex.
Coming up, we have a five-some.
This is so boring.
After three, it's an orgy, right?
After three, it's an orgy. Yeah. So we haven't had an orgy in a while. No, but seriously speaking, guys, we are going to talk today about the wedding PR machine. You know, the whole styled shoots. What does the gram want to see? What is the gram award?
What does TikTok want to see?
What is this new generation? What do they want to know? That's the first thing we're going to discuss.
What are they looking for?
Yeah, what are they looking for?
Mm-hmm.
So and I know you do this and you love to, I'm not a fan of styled shoots.
Okay.
The only styled shoot I ever did was with you. When you dressed me like a lesbian, remember?
Cute pictures.
And I loved it. I thought it was great. It served the purpose that it needed to serve. So I want to ask you, when you plan these styled shoots, what do you use them for? How do you promote them?
Sure.
How does it benefit your business?
Sure. So that's a great question as to why a styled shoot, right? And I think it's multifaceted. I think as a creative, when we're handed, and I'm going to speak specifically to a wedding, with the engagement session, we have a little more creative freedom because there's not a venue that's always set. They're not wearing a dress they bought months ago or a year ago. So we have the ability to bring more creative juices and flow to an engagement session, right? Engagement portraits. When we look at a wedding, everything has been planned for us that we didn't have a say in. The dress, the location, the design of the room. I've had couples that I look at them, I'm like, man, these two are beautiful. And then I arrive on wedding day and I might see the wardrobe and I'm thinking, I can't use this because it doesn't align with kind of what I'm trying to promote.
Right.
It's not my style. I don't generally like it. So to me, when we create a styled shoot, it's an opportunity for the people who are being creative, whether it's photographer, a florist, a designer of a dress, to say, hey, how do we envision this happening? Because we'll drop in a couple, but what do we see for this, right? The style, and then you're able to then show people how you envision an event, a photo shoot, a style. What's also great is you get to collaborate with people that maybe you haven't worked with before and see what's their work ethic. How do they approach it? Are they responsive? How are they performing under pressure? So it's a playground for creatives to come together, blend with each other, see how they mesh with each other, and see if there's someone they would want to work with in the future. And then it's also content. So not only is it content for your socials, it's every professional that's working with you social. And if it's done right, it could go straight into publication. For example, I've done shoots where I didn't even submit it anywhere. I just emailed one publisher and it went straight to, for example, wedding style magazines, which is the top of the line magazine. So it's really an opportunity to do that and then use it for content and social media.
It's also a great source to promote your work. You recently did one for Carbone.
Yeah.
which was beautiful, you know. And it wasn't promoting a wedding per se, but maybe like a rehearsal dinner or any type of dinner or any type of an event. You asked me to borrow all of my beautiful shoes because, you know, which is never going to happen again, because if I would have known that that bitch that you got to model was going to wear the actual shoes and stretch them out.
Did she?
Yes, she did. But, you know, who cares? They were my shoes. Either way, it was worth it. It was for the gram. But I think that actually does help you and helped, you know, the designers and helped just promote the actual restaurant and say, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, we have a private space where you can actually have an intimate rehearsal dinner, 50-person rehearsal dinner, what have you.
Yeah.
What was the feedback that you got when you did that?
So here's what with that one is interesting, because usually I'll come up with the concept of the shoot. In this case, it was kind of already brought to me by Gilded Group. They said, hey, we're working with major food groups at their Carbone Vino location in Coconut Grove, and we'd like you to shoot it. So a lot of the concept was already kind of in place. I then came in with the models and the dress designer and other pieces of it, and we kind of collaborated together. Honestly, they were blown away. We had this beautiful couple. They had a very Italian look to them. They had great chemistry, although they individually had partners that weren't themselves, but they had great chemistry. The venue was beautiful. What Gilded Group did in that space was beyond. Like, I don't know how they came up with that, but they created an entire stage for the band Xanadu to perform. They blacked out windows. It was magic what they did. So then we brought video, we brought photo, we created the whole footage, and they were in heaven. They were in absolute heaven. They just loved everything and how it turned out. And again, it's a promotional material.
Right.
It's an ability to work with other designers and team members and brands to show your work.
You also did a really big PR campaign when same-sex weddings got legalized, you know, in the United States, in the state of Florida, what have you. Talk to me a little bit about that and how that benefited your company and just overall the acceptance of same-sex marriage.
You know, that was a really huge experience, because I remember the director at the Biltmore, and I said, I want to do a styled shoot. And they said, you know what? Okay, we'll do a male-female couple. And this is kind of at the cusp of gay marriages being legalized. And I said, honestly, I'd like to see a male-female couple, a male-male couple, and a female-female couple. I'd like all three of them. And there was a little kickback, but then the director said, you know what? Let's do it. We brought the team together. We brought makeup artists together, hair, stylists, all the stuff. And we shot 3 separate couples in the Biltmore. That got press, that got news, that got coverage, that got all this exposure. And then the Biltmore benefited on that, because now they had legal weddings. They were a huge traditional venue, mostly classic traditional location that is not modern and edgy, with this beautiful campaign of images promoting not only weddings, but same-sex weddings, all types of weddings. And they, Love is Love was the name of the campaign.
Love is Love, I remember.
Which was so beautiful to be able to be part of that and bring together all those people and then give them all those images to then promote the event. It was amazing, amazing, amazing. It was a magical experience.
Just do it, love. Just
mad props to Erica from Mars's team, who's not gay.
Yes, she played a
But
lesbian.
she played a lesbian in order to get these great pictures.
She did. She did.
But going back to that, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't. I don't think it necessarily works for me per se.
Got it.
The styled shoots take a lot of time, you know, a lot of collaboration, and it's this small portion of what a grandeur event would look like. So we tend to like spend a lot of time on the small details that we may not be able to get to the day of an actual wedding. The day of a wedding, we may only have 2 hours to do, you know, what took 5 or 6 to set up, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, recently, you know, there's, you know, and I understand because I was in their shoes at one point where I was a planner with no experience, no portfolio. So how do you build that portfolio, right? You have to do these styled shoots to kind of be like, this is what I can do. But at the same time, it could be deceiving to those that are out there on social media looking at it and saying, hey, I'm not going to hire Marylen. I'm going to hire so-and-so because this person was able to put this beautiful styled shoot together. And recently there was a planner that did it and it was stunning and gorgeous. And I had another planner, experienced planner, call me and be like, did you see so-and-so's post? And I was like, yeah, I thought that was really pretty. She's like, but why is the dance floor missing? What happened to that wedding? And I was like, my friend, that wasn't a wedding. It's a styled shoot. Like you can tell from the way that the angle is and the location that they did it at, they completely transformed. And it's not it wasn't a location that where people that, you know, where a luxury client will go to have a wedding.
Got it.
Right? So it's kind of misleading thinking you can create something like that at these venues. But that's my take on it.
I don't know. I think there's an opportunity to be able to show a level of creativity. But you see, I think as a planner, you're in many touch points of that couple's process. Mm-hmm. So you're able to influence them a little bit. And if you have a vision for them, meaning, hey, Marylen, here's our wedding, and you already start getting creative ideas, you could say, oh, you could kind of guide them in the sense of, this is what florals could look like. This is what tablescapes could look like. This is what your mood could look like, right? As a photographer, we don't have that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I think you do styled shoots to an extent where you're able to give your creative feedback to the whole process of it. And it's then, there's a touch of Marylen in that wedding.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
As a photographer, we don't have that opportunity for wedding days, maybe engagements. But wedding day, we don't have an opportunity to guide them for florals or guide them through the dress. You could be literally in every touch point of that wedding process and give your feedback and influence to that couple. So you kind of style shoots all the time.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
To an extent.
But my issue is, and I'll get your feedback on it. My issue is when they don't say it's a styled shoot.
Agreed.
Okay?
100%.
To me, it's very misleading.
Agreed.
I'm not hating because I'm not a hater. I am very supportive of my community. But I'm like, just be real and say it was a styled shoot.
Agreed.
Don't say, oh, that's a wedding I did at Vizcaya. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't. I know that that's not allowed in Vizcaya. I know you can't do that. I know there's certain touch points. Say that it's a styled shoot.
Absolutely.
And I understand that they may not want to because it shows how green they are, but you're also not being authentic.
Yeah.
You know, like be real.
Yeah. Say it.
Yeah.
You know, in our website, we have a section called Inspired Shoots. And it's just that. It was an inspired photo shoot. And that's all it was. You know, I went down to Guatemala on a fam trip with a couple other individuals. And when we were there, I said to the lead, I said, hey, is there an opportunity to shoot something here? They got the top model who won, I think, Miss Guatemala in the world stage. They had the top designer, the jewelry designer. I had this model for 10 minutes before it started raining. And it's in my section on my website called Inspired Shoots.
Right.
You know, I created it, I made it happen, but it wasn't a wedding, you're right.
Right.
But I think the honesty is what's important about that.
So let's turn the page and talk a little bit about the culture of competition, right?
Oh, God.
The wedding industry has evolved into a visibility economy. Success is often measured by followers and features, not necessarily by the quality of service. I get a lot of, but this person is probably great because they have X amount of followers. And I've gotten some feedback because you know me, I do my little social media post and I say what I feel. And I was giving advice to new engaged couples and said, do not go by how many followers a person has. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's great work, but that's the perception. You understand? Maybe it does mean that they have great work. It
doesn't always match up.
Correct.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and I got some feedbacks saying, oh, you know, certain people, I guess, thought that I was talking about them. No, I wasn't. I was saying it in general because I remember I was talking to Angel from Audrey Studios and I said, man, you know, like, and he's like, Marylen, I've worked with planners that are a mess and they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And I was like, dude, WTF, like, how does that happen? Because I am, you know, X amount organized, X amount, like everything needs to happen a certain way. Why do these disorganized people have all of this large following and keep getting all this business? And he said to me, he said, cree fama y acuéstate a dormir. So
translate that, please.
The translation is make yourself a celebrity and make yourself famous and go to sleep. You don't have to work.
Yeah.
Because the work, the social media
Sells itself.
will sell itself and sell, you know, and sell you. And I'm sure you feel the same with photography, where you see people that have all of this large following, but you're either looking at the pictures being like, they're not that great, or they're missing that lighting, or look, that person, you know, when they took the picture, they didn't notice that her zipper was not fully dressed. You know, those touch points, you know?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. I think that the culture is...
I think it's what reality TV has done to us. We have this limited time span. We have no opportunities to focus on anything. And when people see an account that has a large following, they have to dive deeper and look at the actual comments. They have to look at the likes. They have to look at the shares to see if that lines up. If that lines up, okay, then it's not purchased followers. But then look deeper and do you even like their work? Do you enjoy it? Do you see yourself in that photo? Do you see yourself in their images? And if you do, and everything else lines up, go for it. Make it happen. Connect with that photographer, planner, whatever it is, and see if they're a match for you. But I'm a big believer in the fact that everyone around you should feel like someone you would want to have dinner with, someone you want to connect with and get to know better.
Right.
Because if that's a team you build around you on your wedding day, it's just an extension of you. And you let your guard down, you let them in, and you enjoy it so much more when all of you are able to be together and enjoy it.
Right. And I think there's this like clout culture, you know, who can get more likes, who can get more reshares. Oh my God, did you see this? You know, the post that the content creators did for me got millions of followers or what have you. And it just puts this pressure on you that is insane. And then, you know, imposter syndrome, and you're looking at it and being like, how can I do better? Why didn't I get that many likes? You know how much it took me to like put this wedding together, how many hours of labor I created. You know, I'm sure we have a lot of creative partners that have thought that way with the beautiful things that they've created as well. Yeah. And it's just about chasing like the clout. And I just think that we're in this, you know, new era that is tough.
It's a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah.
And people are constantly trying to do better and do better. And I think if you put your head in, you know, look down and go forward and do your best work. And yeah, there's certain things you have to do on social media because it's a science and it's a process and there's an algorithm and all that stuff. But do your best. Put it out there and then.
So this last week alone, there was a reel that went so viral that it was on the news. Okay. I don't know if you saw it.
I probably did.
The bride that's walking down the aisle, it looks like it's a Vizcaya, but I don't even think the wedding was in Florida.
Okay.
And the wedding planner, in order to make it down to where she was to fix her dress, slides down the side.
That's too much.
And it was captured by an iPhone video, what have you, right? So a friend of mine actually tags me on whatever the news outlet and was like, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh,
So I gave my thoughts, and I said, well, I'll go listen. I used to work for a news anchor, a nationally acclaimed news anchor. And if there's one thing that she taught me is good PR and bad PR is still PR.
PR is PR.
They're still talking about you, right?
PR is PR.
But I also said, this is probably somebody fairly new in the industry with not as much experience, because if they had been in the industry for X amount of time or knew how to run a business, they would have somebody already downstairs ready to fluff that dress, that she didn't have to go sliding down. Yeah. Number two, did she think of photo and video? And you're in the shot either way. You might as well have walked down the stairs instead of making the spectacle of yourself. But at the same time, the bride didn't mind.
Yeah.
She didn't care. She thought it was funny. I think she got lucky.
Yeah.
Because most couples and clients, it's like, it's my day.
Yeah. You pulled attention from the couple.
Correct. I think she got lucky. Yeah. But I said, listen, and I made a joke out of it because, again, this was on, I think, the planner's post, and she was going to see it. And I said, look, maybe in my 20s and my inexperienced self, I may have done something like that. In my 40s, I'll break a fucking bone. There's no way I'm not doing no slipping and sliding some bullshit. No, hell no.
Not breaking the hips.
No.
Not a wedding day.
No. But, again, it made her go viral and probably gained thousands of followers by doing so.
All right, so now let's talk about, this drives me crazy, vendor kickbacks and secret commissions. I'm just going to tell a story of something happened to me with a planner who I think is no longer in the industry. But this has irked me forever moving forward. This planner came to me, brought me a wedding, never asked me for any kind of commission or kickback or finder fee, right? Which I have mixed feelings about it. I feel a business has to market and has to advertise. And that's a cost behind that monetarily, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not opposed to having a relationship where, hey, this is a situation. If you do this, whatever that looks like within reasons. Now, this planner never talked about that or said anything. When my final balance was due with a couple 2 weeks prior to the event with this family, it was a bar mitzvah. I think I reached out to the mom of the family. I said, hey, I'm checking on the balance. Oh, no, we gave it to the planner. I said, okay, sure, no problem. So I reached out to the planner. Her response was, oh, no, I kept that for myself because I needed it. You kept $2,500 of mine because you needed it?
That's so unethical.
And I'm not talking about $500. I'm not $2,500. I had no idea what to do. I mean, am I going to take her to small claims court? Like, what's the point?
So it'll be more expensive for us to do that than to actually.
I was like, I'm never going to work with this person again.
It's a slippery slope. Why? Because it is a culture in other states that's how planners work. I have been in this industry for almost 25 years, and I do not believe in taking commission. With that being said, I do not hate on planners or speak badly about planners that decide to take commission. Everybody here has to run their business their way and whatever makes them happy and profitable.
Absolutely.
But I will tell you this. I am someone that has had the opportunity, because I've had creative partners and vendors that are like, what do you need? I'm going to take 10% and give it to you. And listen, thank you for bringing me this. And I'm like, no. That's a hot mess to begin with. I don't want to deal with any of that. That's just, the best commission that you can give me is make me look like a fucking rock star.
That's what you always say. You're like, take care of my client.
Take care of my client. Make me look spectacular. Make me look like I just planned the hell out of a wedding, And listen, the day of tomorrow, if I need something, make it happen for me, My grandmother, who everybody knows, my grandmother is the person that I love the most in this world. I'm not going to fucking cry because I don't cry. But when it was her 90th birthday party, you went, you took the pictures, Gilda did all the decor. You know, I had a DJ and lighting cut me a great deal. That's what I expect.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a family, and
Right.
I take care of you. You take care of me. I appreciate that because I know there's times that I've gifted you with stuff because you won't take anything, and I appreciate you bringing business, and there's an appreciation level that I like to give to planners because I respect the fact that they've chosen me or added me to an opportunity for their clients, right? So I want to thank them. And whether it's a dinner, a gift, an experience, I feel that exchange should be there.
Right.
When it becomes monetary or required or too structured, it feels a little dirty. It feels like if I can't talk to the client about it, do I feel right about it?
Right.
There's that part of me that feels a little stuck with it.
But, you know, and at the same time, I think that if we're going to be completely honest, I think that if you have a planner that comes to you and is like, hey, listen, I'm going to bring you this client and I expect X amount in commission, I don't see it wrong that you give it to her. Does that make sense?
No.
I don't think it's wrong of you to give it to her or him if they ask for it. I don't see that wrong. Again, everybody has the right to run the business the way that they want to run it. And there's venues that will ask for a commission or ask for a fee to be on their preferred vendor list. Some vendors, some creative partners have an issue with that. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. You know why? Because, perfect example, I was not on the list for Vizcaya. I am now, but I wasn't. And because I wasn't on that list, I lost a huge piece of business.
I remember.
Huge. And that, I was like, okay, what's the fee? What do I have to pay? Because what I was going to pay was 2% of what I lost.
Would have made. Exactly. Yeah.
In that. So I don't see anything wrong with that either, as long as these venues are, know that the people that you're referring's work is up to par.
And it's vetted. They
right,
vetted.
it's
They've
vetted.
done their
Thank
work.
you.
They've
That's
looked
the word I'm looking for.
I
Sorry,
figured.
perimenopause.
I don't want to interrupt you. No, but it's vetted. They're like, hey, who's great? Do their due diligence. Like the Vizcaya process I know that the process to get on that list as a caterer, it is not easy.
They cut that caterer list right now to more than 60%.
I know.
They cut it.
But even the people who applied to be on there, I saw what that process was. It was not easy.
They had to do a presentation. It was intense.
But sometimes when a vendor or a planner asks for a kickback, sometimes they ask for too much. And what ends up happening is, because everyone has their profit margins already in place for their services, they have to make things more expensive in order to cover that much money coming out, because
and the clients don't know that.
I know. They get screwed.
Ethically, it becomes a slippery slope.
That's why I feel like if a planner, because a planner has the most amount of touch points or contact with other professionals, if they're dipping in everyone's money and charging the client, I'm only going to charge you $5,000, the client's not realizing that they're paying them $5,000, but then they're paying all those percentages above what the services would normally be in order for the planner to make that money. So the planner's not making 5, they might be paying 50 or 65.
And listen, there's planners out there that are also charging a flat rate and saying, hey, I'm going to charge you as my client this flat rate, but I am also going to charge a percentage to what you're spending on the wedding.
Right.
And again, as long as you are clear with the client that that's what you're doing, I don't see anything wrong in that.
It's when there's a lack of transparency.
Right. I'm just the type that I want to know where my money's coming from. So I'm going to charge my client a percentage of what you spend on the wedding. Funny enough, there was a planner. She's not in the industry anymore, but a couple of years ago, she had asked me, how do you do that? How do you go from charging a flat rate to not charging a percentage? I don't see myself, doing that. And I'm going to have the client asking me, that means you're going to make me spend more money. And I said, well, look, you need to be transparent and authentic, straight up. And you have to take the mindset of your client, and you have to get into their mindset. We did not, a lot of us did not grow up in a wealthy family. So we don't have that wealth mindset. I go, number two, you have to think of yourself as a sports agent. Sports agents make percentages from the contracts that they bring their clients. So you are charging a percentage in order to put this entire event together. And that's how you make your money, because you have all of these people, these touch points, these people that you have to handle.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like your handle fee. And you can say, a percentage with X amount of minimum, et cetera.
It's more work for you.
Right.
More people to handle.
But there are people out there that, aside from charging a percentage, are also charging each vendor commission, and the clients don't know about it. Is it unethical? Yes. Am I hating on them? Nope. I just can't run my business that way. I can't. I like to put my head on my pillow at night and have a clear conscience. Have I probably lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by doing so? Probably. But I can sleep.
Yeah, I get it. I'm the same way. I don't want to be shady and dirty.
Yeah.
There's that case that happened at a venue where several people were on the chopping block because it was discovered that they were all getting kickbacks from the vendors that were on their list.
Nice.
But kickbacks that were
You're like, here, I'm paying your car this month.
So noted. Now moving on to shifting the culture. Oh yeah, car payments. That's an interesting one. How can vendors, planners, and creatives advocate for more transparency and honesty in the wedding industry? How can we do that? How? Where does it start?
Wow. It's tough, because I think that we've gone to several networking events where this continues to be the topic. Be transparent, be open. This has been going on, like these talks have been going on forever. I remember you were the host of the Bambini Summit.
Yes.
Remember when they used to do their summit? Mm-hmm. And you hosted it, and we had planners in there. And I'll always remember having Johanna talk about, money and how to charge or what have you. But Lila from One Inspired Event also did that. And she was super transparent. She passed out a spreadsheet. She said, I charge, this type of fee, a retainer. Aside from a retainer, then I charge this, and I charge. She was extremely transparent.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is great, because I think that this is going to open the transparency to everybody else in the industry. Maybe we've come a little bit closer, but I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Yeah. I think also couples coming into a wedding, and I call it the wedding world, right? They're overwhelmed because they don't realize how many people they're going to have to interact with, how many decisions they have to make. I have a couple who's getting married now in December, and I remember she said, everything was kind of on budget, but then all of a sudden I realized that there was silverware
Yeah.
and glassware and tableware, and I don't know if I could hire a planner now because they don't know. And when they don't work with a planner, they're sometimes at a disadvantage for not seeing and being explained all the areas that they need to decide on.
Right. So how do we move from competition to collaboration? How do we move away from just this competitive feel and being more of collaborating?
That's a good question. I think when everyone has their business in front of them, they need to decide, am I going to be the best version of myself and consistently grow to be a better version of me? Or am I looking over my shoulder and trying to replicate what everyone is doing and beat them?
How do you think you've personally changed the way you look at that in the past couple of years? Because I could tell you, for me, it was very cutthroat at the beginning, and I didn't have friends that were planners, where now we have like 5 different damn group chats, going on, which I love, and
She likes to also exit the group chats if someone joins them.
I do that shit too when I see that there's people that no me gusta. Yo soy así, yo soy pesada. But I do have, a close group of women that that we talk, and we have a group chat, and it works great as resources too. I'm like, hey guys, do you guys know who does this? And someone asks, hey, do you guys know who does that? I have this, Kristen was pregnant and just had the baby, and she needed a lead planner to cover for her. And I'm like, dude, I'm your girl. No fees charged. Let's go. Where do you need me? It was my weekend off. I can help you. What do you need?
Yeah.
So how do you think you're moving more towards doing something like that and getting in a group of photographers that you guys can have each other's back and kind of have that collaboration?
To me, it's more relationship building. Recently I connected with a photographer with PS Photography, Susie, and we've always had a great vibe together. We've had lunch together, and recently I said, hey, can you do my headshots? I need someone to do my headshots. So she did. And then this past weekend, they needed a photographer because they had this issue with the contract. It was last minute. And she said, can you shoot this for us? And I said, absolutely. Don't worry about it. Let's make it happen. And that's it. It's just supporting, trusting, and being there for each other is the biggest thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so happy that to have, this group. And it's funny because there's been other people that are like, that have even told us, man, I love the way that you guys, are always together. And we do like, a wine-o-ween. That's Gigi's thing. As she does a Halloween thing at her house, or we've done, Friendsmas, we've done, Friendsgiving.
Don't y'all play tennis together too?
We used to play tennis together, yeah, but we didn't get banned, but we're not members, so we got to the bottom of the list to playing tennis. They're like, we can't give you that rate anymore because you're not a member. I'm like, okay, but we brought weddings here, but whatever. Long story short, but we still do activities together, and we've gone to each other's not my baby, I have no babies, but to the baby showers and stuff like that. It's really nice to connect with people, knowing that we all, go through the same thing. We're all happy for each other. In these text messages, when one of us does a wedding, we write to each other like, man, that was so beautiful what you did last night. And it's good to have that collaboration. I just wish I would see it more with the rest of the industry.
I think it's hard because I think people end up closing off their personal perspective and their experiences and their business because they're scared of someone copying them. Everything's been done before. Yeah. And there is an opportunity to create something new, and you'll create that on your own and you'll figure it out. But don't be afraid to open up and support and communicate. I do have to say, I've had experiences where not everyone's receptive. I had a bride come to me, a couple, and they said, hey, we want you to shoot our wedding. I said, I'm not available. And recently I had connected with a photographer at an event in Vegas. I said, you know what? Let me refer this other photographer. So I called the photographer ahead of time and said, hey, I'm going to let you know I'm going to refer this couple. They said, what's your name? And I said the name. And they said, oh, we've already spoken to them. And clearly we're the ones who's supposed to shoot that wedding, period. It wasn't, hey, thank you so much for thinking about me. Hey, I appreciate your follow-up. Hey, nothing. I was like, well, never again.
Yeah.
Because what is that?
Yeah.
If you're going to be open and build a relationship, you can't have you.
That's the thing with our industry. There's a lot of egos. Large egos. And
but that's the problem. It could end tomorrow.
Yeah.
You could break your arm, you could break a leg, and you're screwed.
Yeah.
So get your ego out of the fucking situation, because if something happens to you physically, how are you going to shoot a wedding?
Yeah. I'm anti-ego.
Sorry, I get really upset about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. And there's no need to scream at people or yell at people or belittle people.
Or point your finger at them.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
okay.
Great chat.
I know. Short little episode today here at Content Studios headquarters.
Collaboration over competition, people. Let's keep it moving.
Exactly. Until the next time we step into the ring, have a wonderful week or weekend, and we'll see you soon. I'm Manolo Marylen.
I'm Marylen Exposito.
Until next time, peace.
Bye.